welcome back. This is probably the last part in a series of videos about getting faster. If you have missed the first 4 parts, then I'll put the links in the description below. You'll want to go back and watch those first before you watch this one. If you haven't already set your goal that you're working toward, and if you haven't set your 5 action items to help you get to that goal and you haven't communicated those with me, then you'll want to do that first as well. So here's the thing, when kids or even adults talk to me about wanting to get faster, a lot of times what they mean is that they want to get faster than either what they were a year ago at that particular race, or they want to be faster than other people who show up to race against them. They want to place in their age group at a particular race or any race. The problem with that is that faster can be very elusive. When you compare yourself where you are right now at this point in time to where you were a year ago, it can be very different. Circumstances can be very different. Let me just tell you a personal story. When I was in the 3rd grade, I was not an athlete. I had never been an athlete, and I decided that I wanted to try to play basketball. Now, I didn't really decide. My friend wanted me to play basketball with her so that she wasn't alone. So I signed up and said sure, even though I did not know the first thing about basketball. Well, when I went to practice, that coach did not teach me how to play basketball. He was just there to coach the team to win. And because I did not know anything about basketball, I was not the best player, let me just say. And I never learned anything about basketball. Consequently, I gave up sports completely, feeling like I was just not an athlete. And I did not try to do anything athletically until I graduated from high school and I joined the Army National Guard. Now, joining the Army National Guard meant that I had to take a PT test, a physical fitness test, and that test involved push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. I had never really been a runner. I had been doing some push-ups getting ready for basic training and had done a little bit of running, but nothing like what happened when I got to basic training. Remember when I told you that if you go from doing nothing and you want to get faster, the best way to do that is to be consistent? Well, basic training got me consistent. I was doing push-ups and running every single day. Sit-ups not so much, but definitely push-ups and sit-ups all day, every day. And I definitely got faster in my run, and I definitely could do a lot more push-ups. Now, when I came home from basic training and I wasn't being forced to run and do push-ups every day, I kind of backed off. And because of that, I slowed back down and I lost the ability to do as many push-ups. Fast forward several years after I got out of the military and I had not been running, and I decided at 40 that I wanted to run a marathon. Now, I did, and long story short, I've run numerous marathons. I've run 3 50Ks, and I've done 2 Ironmans. In 2015, I was training for Ironman Chattanooga, and I was in the top physical shape of my life. I was very consistent with my training. I was doing very specific workouts that were helping me to get faster. I told you in the hill workout video that I did a lot of hill training to get ready for Chattanooga because I had a very specific time goal. I finished that. I made my time goal. I made it very well, and then I was diagnosed with a brain disease. That brain disease took away really all of my fitness. It took away my endurance. The treatment for that disease, which worked, thankfully, or I wouldn't be able to talk to you right now, that treatment caused me to gain a lot of weight and made training consistently very difficult, extremely difficult. It's an autoimmune condition, and because of that, my body sits on a very fine tightrope between too much overload and not enough work to get faster. So I'm still in the process of trying to figure that out. But all of that to say, this is 2020, and I am not anywhere close to where I was before because of that disease. Now, for you, you may have a setback that involves an injury, or if you're a year-round swimmer and you have not been swimming, let me be the first one to break the news to you. You are not going to be as strong in the water when you get back in the water as you were when you left it, just for the simple fact that you have not been consistently training. Now, for that reason, I want you to be very careful when you look at comparing yourself right now to where you were a year ago. Now, if you have as one of your goals that you want to be faster, say in the kids fly try that we will hopefully have in August, and you're in the same age group, that's a very different story than if you have aged up into the next age category with longer distances. Your pace for the swim, if it's a longer swim, may be slower. Your speed on the bike might be a little bit slower because you're doing more than what you were before. Having said that, you can compare where you are right now to a month from now. And you can work on becoming stronger and faster between now and a month from now. It's important not to compare too quickly. You may have an off day, or because of training cycle where you're working harder and then you're giving a break, and you're working harder and you're giving a break. Depending where you are in that training cycle will depend on how fast you are in any given workout. That's why it's important not to try to race your workouts. But when we talk about comparing yourself to other people who show up to race, that's a barrel of monkeys. You never know what you're going to get. You have no control over who shows up for that race. The only thing that you have control over is you giving your absolute best effort at any given moment. Now again, you shouldn't race your workouts. Your workouts should be very systematic and planned. But if you are following a trusted training plan and you are consistently training and consistently doing the things that you're supposed to do in training, and you feel like you're giving your best effort for those training workouts, whether that's a best effort for a recovery run, which means recovering very easy, or a best effort in a speed workout where you're hitting the times that you're wanting to hit. If you're doing all of those things and you show up on race day and you're strong mentally and you're strong physically and you're strong emotionally, and you go out and you give your absolute very best effort on that particular day and you come in dead last. Have you done all you could do? Of course you have. It was your best. You can't give more than your best, and your best really is good enough. It might not be good enough to beat that person that's next to you because their best might be better than yours, and that's okay. We all have different strengths. That person may be not good at math and you're good at math, or that person may not have any friends and you have a lot of friends. That person may not be able to talk to another person and you're able to carry on a conversation. We all have different strengths. That's one of the things I love about triathlon, because if you're not a strong swimmer, you may be a strong cyclist. If you're not a strong cyclist, maybe you're really fast in transitions. If you're not fast in swimming, biking, running, or transitions, you might really ace the after party with your friends. But in all seriousness, how you perform in a triathlon is not the measure of your worth. But if your goal is to be stronger and faster, then the important thing for you to do is to train consistently and to give your very best effort in everything that you do. That might mean sleeping more. That might mean being on a routine schedule where you're going to sleep at a normal time and you're waking up at a time that is good for you. It might mean changing your nutrition, and instead of eating cereal for breakfast, maybe you need to eat some eggs, or maybe you need to eat some tofu if you're a vegan. My point is that if your goal is to get stronger, then usually, not always, but usually there are things that you can do to make yourself stronger than you are right now. There's a young girl who comes to run our local races who's not from here, and she is smoking fast. She is so stinking fast, but she's pretty much a professional mountain biker. So if you're racing against her, chances are slim that you're gonna compete to her level. I don't say that as a discouragement. I say that so that you will stay focused on giving all that you can give. You will stay focused on training to your strengths and training your challenges and becoming the very best athlete that you can be, not in comparison to her, because she's not you. When you set your sight on an opponent, you don't have any control over what they do, and you're focused on them and not on moving forward. You will never be giving your best effort if you're focused on your opponent. Let me say that again. You will never give your best effort if you're focused on your opponent. If you make your level of satisfaction all about beating someone else, you may either be disappointed because someone else better than you has shown up, or you may not be getting all that you can get out of yourself because maybe that opponent really isn't very good. And if all you're gonna try to do is beat the worst, that's not your best. If you base your level of satisfaction on what happens with your opponent, then you have lost all ability to control whether or not you're satisfied. And this is why I tell you to make it a great day. You don't have control over the weather. You don't usually have control over your schedule. You don't have control over some things that happen to you in your circumstance, but you have control of what you do with that. You don't always have control of your emotions because emotions sometimes happen to us, but you do have the ability to learn how to deal effectively with those emotions and to be able to turn those emotions around into something positive. You have the ability whether or not to have joy. Joy comes from the inside out. Happiness is just an emotion that you may be happy and may not be happy. But joy is something that comes from within and goes out of you. You have the ability to turn something bad into something positive. If it's raining outside, then you can have a really fantastic run in the rain. Let me tell you, running in the rain is like the best. They call that a silver lining. When something negative happens to you and you see it as something negative, when you have the ability to turn that around and do something positive with it, that's called finding a silver lining, and that's called having a good attitude. You don't have control over how many fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fibers that you were born with, but you have control over how you train, and how you train will determine if you are performing at your best capability. And again, if you're performing at your best and you show up on race day and you give your very best effort, your best really is good enough. And if you don't feel that your best is good enough, then we need to have a talk, because one of two things is true. Either you're not actually giving your best and there's some reserve there that you've held back for some reason, probably out of fear of failure, or there's something wrong with your perspective and you're not seeing how important it is that you focus on yourself and not on comparison. just like I unfortunately don't think that I'll ever be able to get back to the level of fitness I was when I did Ironman Chattanooga in 2015, you may not be faster this year than you were last year. Depending on how old you are, there is a period of time in growth that boys and girls both get a little bit slower. Your body becomes a little more awkward, your muscles are changing, your brain is changing, and because of that, all kids take a little bit of dip in their performance level. Because of that, if you're in that stage and last year you were kind of at the peak and this year you're in that kind of more awkward phase, if your main goal is I want to be faster than I was last year and you're not, you may be really disappointed. If your goal is I want to give my very best effort and you focus on giving your best effort in every training workout, whether that again is best effort at recovery or best effort at a specific type of workout or best consistency with training, then you will know that you have done all that you can do. And let me tell you, I can't be more clear. Barring some brain disease, barring some condition that you don't have control of, if you are a healthy individual, you can get stronger and you can get faster. You can get more mentally strong, you can get physically stronger, and you can get emotionally stronger and resilient in those losses. If you want to talk more about that, that is an area of focus that is my favorite. I love talking. This really kind of encompasses what it means mental training and psychology, sports psychology, and I love it. If you're still focused on beating an opponent, guess what? I can talk to you about that too. I probably will not do a video on that because I will want to have an individual conversation with you to make sure that this isn't just about some kind of inappropriate comparison. But if you're looking to race and you want to know what that looks like, we can absolutely have a conversation about that, because racing in and of itself and being able to mentally and physically better your opponent is another area that I really love. Until then, make it a great day. Hello and welcome back. So here's the thing. When kids talk to me about that, well, I told you in one of the last videos that I did a lot of hill training. Then that's one thing. Oh my goodness, no, it's a dog. It's a man running with his dog. They're running by and they're not gonna stop. Okay, stop. No. Okay, he's gone. You scared him off. That's a sticky wicket. That's another can of worms. That's a barrel of monkeys. If you make your level of satisfaction, you don't have control over how much fast twitch versus slow twitch